Daniel Warrior, hello, and welcome to the big show.
Alright, let's do this, ready? Alright, I'm gonna do my intro. Oh, prior to everything, if there's anything that you don't want to come out, whatever, just let me know, even after the podcast. And even if it's like 6 years later, you just say, hey, this part didn't age well, can you remove it? I'll do it.
Okay.
And this is also including not just after, but during. So as you're speaking, you're like, oh, man, never mind. And then we could just pretend that never happened, okay?
Okay. I'm going to start with just going to work up to getting my crowd. I'm nervous again. Okay.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another brand new podcast episode. This is Famous Opinions. You probably heard him over the radio. You probably seen him on your screens. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Adam Warrior.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. I can't believe we're here.
Hey, I am excited for this.
Yes.
Let's get started.
Right.
So, for those who don't know you somehow, please let them know like what you are all about.
I don't know if I could sum that up in a sentence, but all I know is as I'm figuring out how to maneuver my river, which is what I say, stay in the river, it knows where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
As it's pulling me there, and I'm not fighting the source, I'm not fighting the outcome.
Right.
I'm getting pulled along. As I ask for the right things, people have been coming into my life that have been willing to lift me up, like you, like this podcast. People have just dropped into my life like angels that my mom has prayed for.
Right.
And I'm ready for whatever's next.
That's the beauty of it, you know. I'm
trusting the process, man.
Yeah, it would be kind of unfortunate if everyone knew where we were gonna go. It's just the excitement of not knowing.
Sorry that took a long time to get out, but I had to maneuver that sentence because it's overwhelming because I just finished Comic-Con. I just finished National Geographic's What Really Happened, America's Wild West, and the voiceover. And then I was doing Yellowstone and Bass Reeves, the 1883 spinoff on Paramount Plus.
Right.
And that was just when I got to Texas.
Yeah.
I moved from Oklahoma, thinking that I'll never be in TV again because we came here with a hope and a dream to make it. Our oldest son had brain cancer and he said he wanted to see the ocean before his surgery 2 years ago. And I said, as a father, I got to get us to the ocean. I'm going to sell everything. I'm going to get us there. And I got us in our little camper and van, and we made it all the way to palm trees because we Googled palm trees near me. And we found South Padre Island. And that cool place that has the highways that are really cool bridges that has palm trees up beside it.
Yeah.
That place, once we saw that, we were like, we're in heaven. And we got to the ocean, and we never tasted the salt before. And like random strangers handed us whole bags of fish. People helped us with our rent. Like I sold some seashells by the seashore. Wow. And we just made it, man. So our son is a real hero. I did some movies along the way, but he's 18. He's autistic. His name's Bugs. And without him, like wishing this because we wanted to see the ocean, but that whole situation kind of pushed us into like, all right, we got to do this today. And so we just started driving, and it's been a blessing in that I got to meet cool people. And today, I feel like I've moved into purpose.
Right.
So now I just did a speech for the graduating class of the drug court in Cameron County.
Yeah.
I went and talked to them, told them they were somebody. Empowered the kids, man, because I used to be one of those, and I actually graduated from that program. So I used to be an alcoholic for 8 years, and I figured it out.
Yeah, I
put that same energy into blessing my kids' future, planting the seeds now for the trees that I'll never sit under for my kids.
Right.
So they're going to be able to live a charmed life because I stood for something. So I took on the name the Native American superhero because it's more than just wearing a cape and rescuing people from burning buildings. It's saving people from themselves
I hear you.
My message is to not look out there for all the sources and what you're looking for and your addictions or your material things.
Mm-hmm.
You close your eyes and you look inside and you're like, what am I? Who am I? What's your real name? You didn't pick that name. You didn't pick your avatar. Right? You don't remember waking up for the first time, do you?
Exactly.
And you won't remember falling asleep for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a breath, and then you're gone, and then it's like, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
When you open your hands, did you help people or did you hurt people? Did you hit people or did you feed people?
Right.
And if you did the bad stuff, then you're going to live long enough to pay it all back, because no man gets away with anything. You live long enough to pay it all back. So, be careful what you wish for and be careful how you live.
Yeah.
Because the karmic balance is all the bad stuff or all the good stuff. And the people that wake up can take ownership of the bad stuff, of the really, really bad stuff where you hit rock bottom, to know that if that exists, then a good has to exist on the equal side that's just as good.
Exactly.
All the way over here. So now that I'm having dinner with Danny Trejo and hanging out with Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite and Kevin Costner and all these people, like, now that I'm here, it's like I have to take ownership of that too. I could freaking be proud of myself for once and say I did it. And I got to this point where when I was in the streets and homeless, eating out of trash cans, rehabs, institutions, jails, to hanging out on a red carpet. I was just backstage with the guy from, he wears the orange hat, he's a DJ, Lance, Corey Feldman was there, Efren Ramirez for Pedro. I mean, it was just like, I was hanging out with these people backstage, and then I get used to it and stop acting so nervous, because you're part of us, you're one of us.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's
so it's
a feeling.
weird to feel like you've made it to the point where they're saying you're part of us, don't be nervous.
I hear you, and I completely understand that feeling. It's just
sorry
like,
if I was tapping on the table. I totally.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I extremely understand that feeling. I've had my fair share of like a lot of encounters with amazing people and very talented people. I'm sure you have too. And during that process, I've realized accidentally, sadly, there's a lot of people that are just out there for transactional relationships. You know what I mean?
Right, transaction.
And it's just like, it's.
They say, "Hey, how you doing?" and then don't stick around for the answer.
Exactly. It's just like, it's very. I don't know how to say it, but like, other than just saying it bluntly, it's depressing, right? Because it's like the common saying, "Never meet your heroes," right?
Right.
And so, before the us filming, you showed us a movie specifically starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Do you want to dive into that?
Sure.
So, in that perspective, you meeting Leonardo DiCaprio, where in your mind do you go, "Oh my gosh," right? Because you're like, oh. But then also like, okay, I need to be here for a reason. Do the thing that I'm here for, you know? Like, how do you separate that?
Well, previous to that movie, I was working behind the scenes with a lot of people that were still working behind the scenes in that movie. And I kind of knew where to go to sit outside my craft services or where the water bucket was going to be. So I knew that a producer or a director or someone would walk by there eventually and see me. I lived an hour and 45 minutes away, and I would drive to set on Killers of the Flower Moon, and I knew some of the people, so I knew what department they were in, and I would just go over there and just stand on the side of the road until they saw me. And I stood by this big dumpster, and some guy thought it was a little dumpster because I was tall. I'm 6'10", for those of you that don't know. And so I'm standing by this dumpster, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I thought you were standing on something or whatever." He's like, "Come and take a picture with me." He's the other biggest tall guy there. And he's like, "I gotta send this to somebody." So he sent it, and I heard that all of them saw it, like Leo and Scorsese and De Niro, all of them saw it. And then that weekend, you know, I showed up for 3 weeks. Every other day or whenever I could, I would work in this restaurant flipping burgers just to go to sit on the side of the road until they saw me. And I said, "I'm going to be in this movie. I'm going to be in this movie. I'm going to be in this movie."
Yeah.
And then finally, they called me, and they were like, "All right, Warrior, can you be up here this weekend?" And before like I could say yes, I accidentally dropped my phone, and I thought I hung up on him.
No.
And it fell on the floor of my car, and I was like, "Hold on!" And I grabbed my phone really. I was like, "Say that again," and that's like, "This is someone from Killers of the Flower Moon." Killers of the Flower Moon, and like, "You're kidding me." And then they said, "All right, be here this weekend. We'll send you an email. Bye." And they just hung up. And I was like, "I don't even know your name. How do I know what this is?" And I tried to text back, and I think it was a landline. And I was like, "Was that even real?" Like
it was a dream.
And then the I think it was like really not very long, maybe an hour. I got an email with everything I was supposed to do. To be there, what time was fitting, what time was like at the time they had like the clothing. You had to do like testing first before you could go. It was just a whole thing. And I just told my wife, I was like, I have to go. Our financial situation was horrible. My house had fallen apart. And our camper, like the shower leaked where the whole wall fell down, and we could see the outside. And I mean, it was, and I had babies in there, and we were just, it was cold. And actually, when I first started the auditions, it was cold. By the time we were shooting, it was warm. But we had just figured out, you know, we might get evicted, we might lose our car. Like, it was really bad. And I was practicing on my own time. This is embarrassing, but I was like, if I'm gonna be in this movie, I'm sure it's gonna be sad, and I'm gonna have to cry somewhere. And so I would just practice like the feeling of my worst sadness. How would I feel that again? How would I get to that if I needed to?
Yeah.
And first thing he said, he's like, "Can you cry?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I got a lot to cry about. I couldn't pay for my daughter's birthday. I couldn't do this in the house. But at the time, when I got there and I showed up and they were eating biscuits and gravy in the morning, and like it was like 5:30. We're taking pictures, getting our costume, doing our hair, had no makeup. I walked around the front of the big giant bark lodge that you see in the first scene, and Martin Scorsese turns the corner and he looked at me and he just clapped his hands and he's like, "You're magnificent." In front of everybody. "You're magnificent." He said, "He's magnificent." He's trying to find the wardrobe people to tell him that they did a good job on my costume. And it was just like, where do you go from there?
Right.
Like, the #1 director in the world says that, and everybody heard it because it followed me for many shows after that. People remember me from that. And I just went and sat down. And I was just a part of these people that have put their lives into this, and these directors from all over the world. And they sat us down, and they asked us for got us a bottle of water, whatever else we needed. Got the elders in there, and like it was comfortable in this bark lodge, traditional, to scale, very traditional ways they did everything for a ceremonial bark lodge. It's a circular dome,
Right.
and we're sitting there. They had a fake air conditioner coming in. They had lights coming in from the top. It was cloudy that day, so they had to make the sun with a light reflecting down into the hole on top. And the guy was holding up a peace pipe, and I'm sitting there like, how am I gonna be sad? And how fast did this happen? Where I'm sitting right next to the guy talking, and I'm like, I hope my outfit looks good. I hope I'm sitting right. I hope the stuff is shining in the sun like I want to see. And then you can't see how you look. That doesn't happen until years later. What you look like. So I hope my hair was good. And then this girl walked up to me and she's like, "Come on, Warrior, this is for our people." And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then I closed my eyes and I looked up and I saw Martin Scorsese behind the camera changing this filter out. These people they're like, "We're using real film, Warrior, you gotta nail it." And I'm like, I'm some dude off the street.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, maybe I'm not. Because he just told me I was magnificent. And all these other people are getting me water and fanning me off and getting my makeup and doing my hair, like they must see something too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first time I actually felt like
someone.
Yeah. And that is the message I would like to send above the bars of gold and walks of fame and Oscars and all that stuff, is that I portrayed all of us, every single Native American,
mm-hmm.
in that first scene when they saw my big nose and big ears and long hair.
Right.
And I just had to cry and I had to feel it. And I was watching this fire down here and I couldn't believe that I was sitting in that same place with those people. And I looked around and everyone was waiting for me to cry because I was the only one that said I could do it. All the other guys were like,
"Oh no, the pressure on it."
Do it. And I was like, "Stop looking at me." And I remember I was like, when I was practicing, I would be like in the shower and I'm like, okay, what does it feel like? And as soon as I felt that, and I was like, no way, it's doing. I'm doing.
Lock it in.
And I felt it, and I just kept going before I looked at anybody or said anything.
Yeah.
And I just started getting tears, and I'm like, yeah, because the guy told me, if you cry, I'll get you a credit. I'm like, how do you mean to cry? You mean roll on the floor? You mean lay on the ground, big cry? You just feel it. And so,
wow.
I just kind of like got out of myself to represent my people, and what would they want to see? And then I really, when she started crying and I saw her tear fall down, I just lost it, and my stomach just tightened, and that's when you see me bend over, and that's all the camera guys afterward were like, oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see that? I heard them afterwards like, oh, we got it. And I didn't know what I looked like. I just dreamt about it for 2.5 years of what it was going to be like when I finally saw myself on TV, or if they were going to use that, because it was an afterthought scene that they weren't even going to put into it. And let's just say I didn't cry. Like, would it be as effective?
Yeah.
And they put it in the very first scene of the whole movie, and the second person you see in the whole movie. And my kids will watch that 40 years from now and say, that's my grandpa. He did it. I can do it too.
Yeah, I hear you.
And that's all I want. I don't need anything. I don't need big checks. It'd be nice to have big checks. Don't get me wrong. I don't need big checks. I don't need all the notoriety. People notice me everywhere I go anyway.
I hear you.
I just need my kids to just be proud of who they are, and knowing that they're not down here. They're not just workers, and just they're spiritual beings from the stars, and that they can do what I did by believing they deserve it. And once you believe you deserve it, the universe hands it to you. No one else shook hands with Martin Scorsese the whole day.
Right.
He walks up to me and he's about up to my belly button, and he reaches up and he's shook my hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
Because months before, I already said it's mine. I believe I deserve it. I am in this movie, and I spoke it into existence.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. It's all about self-identification.
Yeah, and we actually had to shoot that scene again because unfortunately one of the guys had passed away that was in the scene.
Wow.
So we had to get another guy and bring the whole bark lodge into a airplane hangar and redo the whole thing. And so I was like, great, they didn't even get it. They didn't get what I just did. They're gonna redo the whole thing. No. Can I do that again? Probably not. There's no way I can do that again. So we tried again, and I didn't cry. And I was like, what? They missed out, because if they got that guy and me in the same shot, they couldn't use it because he passed away. Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not gonna get the good shot. And when I saw it opening night, and everybody we saw it in my hometown at the Duncan Theater. When they saw me, everybody cheered. And someone pushed me to stand up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I stood up at the whole. They kind of like took a second to just like everyone sit up real quick during the movie.
That's awesome.
And it was exactly like I thought it in my head it was gonna be. I had great lighting, and the cry was right on the tear, right on the light, and it was right after he said something, which wasn't the right order, but they put it in that way, and they made it amazing. And that movie got a 9-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Festival. And everybody in Hollywood saw it, and I was the second person you see the whole show, so like they were looking intently at all the things that I'm right there with my shiny little conchos all the way down the front. That is the day that I said, okay, I'm a movie star.
Right. That
You know what I'm
mentality
saying?
shift. It's like a gear shift.
Not cocky,
Yeah.
but that I took the chance that no one else would do, and I did the things no one else was willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed up before it was even mine because I believed it was already mine.
Yeah.
And I put my hair in perfect, put my necklaces on, my earrings on right. And I would stand out there and just stand there and look stoic.
Yeah, I hear you. Actually, funny that you brought that up. Specifically that scene, an audience actually wanted to ask you a question. They were asking, how did you feel that was like, because they added on as a pivotal movement on that scene. Like that notion changed everything.
Oh, really?
The second you made that tear come out, it was like, okay, now it's game on, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
it set the tone for the movie.
Yeah. So it's like, what do you think about that? Like,
well, until you just said that, it didn't really hit me that was the pivotal moment that, like, set the tone for the.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't. You can't show a happy scene at the beginning and like be like, all right,
yeah,
everything worked out. You know, it's like we gave up our ways, because the white people said we had to talk their language, go to their schools, live in their, you know, like all this stuff that we had to give up, our language, our traditions, our songs, dances, everything for them. And it's like giving that up is giving yourself away. It's like you're not your name anymore.
Exactly.
They give us all new names, except we didn't show up when they were naming us. So I got to keep the name Warrior as my last name because we didn't show up when they were naming us the white names. They would have called me like Johnson or Smith.
I hear you.
You know? Nope. So you take our identity away. You call us Indians, but we're not Indians. We're not from India. What do you call people in India? What do you call them?
Yeah, I hear you.
No, so they take our identity away. What do they call you? Mexican? You're not Mexican. That's a nationality.
Yeah.
Guess what? The white man put a border between us and said we were different. Texas, Oklahoma, we're the same people.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's tribes that got split right down the middle.
Yeah.
So everyone should feel proud that they're somebody. And when you go really look into who you are, I go like, you're in control of this whole thing. I'm just a player in your movie. And you can keep whoever you want to be in it or not. Kick it or crib. Sometimes it's family members. Sometimes it's best friends.
I get you.
So that's how connected you are. So when you start there, with the movies, with the TV shows, Yellowstone, National Geographic, say, why not me? And this is a big one. Why not me? And then say, how big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail?
And it's like endless at that point.
Endless, bro. What are you waiting on?
Mm-hmm.
But some people are so set on getting the next iPhone or getting the next pair of J's. Did you help anybody? Did you hurt them?
Yeah.
What's your life about? And what's your purpose? So you don't know it until you've seen rock bottom.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you can say, all right, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to do that side. I want to see what that's all about.
Yeah, I get you.
Let's try to do the right thing. Let's try to stay out of jail. You know, like let's be friends with the police officers now. Let's just see what that's like. And guess what? They were friends. All my friends. I just spoke at Cameron County, and I gave them an autograph and everything. Like, it's just cool now. That's it.
Yeah, and when you have that like type of wisdom and that like angle of like thought process, how do you apply that to your movies other than just the one that we just mentioned? But like, do you make it a goal?
You see each other for what they are. So I see you as a star being, and you came from the same place that I did. You didn't come into this world, you came out of it. You're everything your mother ate, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, knowing that life that came into me and you, we're two different water bottles with different coverings, but we're the same water. So I can talk to you just like I would talk to myself in the mirror. Because without me to see you, you don't exist. And without you to talk to me, you get no response, right? So if the purpose and the goal is this Venn diagram of our movie together and our understanding how we're going to work through a scene, me and you don't matter. Because it's the message we need to get across to these cameras is you're someone that needed a friend. And I'm the guy that said, you know what? I'm not going to be your friend this time. because you're killing yourself with drugs and alcohol. So you got to feel it. And I walk out and I flip the table.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know?
Yeah.
But I can talk to you like that because regardless what your name is, where you came from, we're the same, right? Mm-hmm. So in acting, it's like I have to look at you as an angel too. I have to look at everyone there. It's like we're star beings that got lucky to come into existence out of 8 trillion chance.
Right.
800 trillion or something like that. To even exist. So why not cherish each other and what you're capable of? You're good at stuff I'm not. Mm-hmm. And I'm good at stuff you're not. Because it'd be boring if everybody's a point guard.
Yeah.
You need a center, right?
Exactly. So do you intentionally try to work on like movies that like pursue that mindset?
You know, I'd pursue any movie right now.
Oh,
I'll take anything that's a good idea that everyone else believes in, and I'll jump in and play the part, because that's what it is. It's a belief system. Once you're on set, everyone has to buy into it. Mm. You're like, I'm from the 1800s, and I'm a prominent business owner. What does he do? He swing his watch and look down the street and have his bowler cap on, saying hi to everybody because he has no job.
Yeah,
he's making all the money. His workers. So you just jump into it, you know. And as I find out those little small little things in acting, like just acting like a regular person like this. If we were filming this, which we are, and we had this conversation, that's a movie because it's live and it's real.
Right.
That's all they want. So if you really want to do that, there's a lot of hurt involved too. There's a lot of embarrassment. There's a lot of do it again over and over and stand around to hurry up. Mm-hmm. It's the only way that I can express my hurt sometimes. To be out there and fool myself that that's the reality. That I'm in Killers of the Flower Moon. That I'm in Danny Trejo's new movie, 7 Cemeteries, with Efren Ramirez, Hector from Fast and Furious, Sal Lopez, and a bunch of other people.
Wow.
It'll be out in August that you get to see. It's kind of like a high school reunion when we see each other again. I got to see them at Comic-Con.
Right.
And it was like old times. So when you become part of it, this is the biggest lesson for me. One of the directors said, hey, Warrior, don't talk about yourself on set. He's like, you're a big-ass Native American. Everybody knows you're here and why you're here. You don't have to say anything. Mm-hmm. So I just shut up. And I just got directed.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'll just play this thing. I just have to stand here. That's it. Don't even say anything. We're going to turn your head the way we want. Don't smile because your dimples are showing. You're supposed to look mean. Do your eyebrows like this. Everything is so
articulated.
Yes. And so you just play like a chess piece. They all look the same, but you know, they each have their own thing they need to do. And that's exactly how you should be doing in life. Because if you're a human being, you're just supposed to be being. Any more than that is a plus. So if you're being, you're fine. You're doing extra stuff. You got your own thing. You got a camera guy. You got a whole crew up. Hi guys, thank you, director, PA, first, second director, all you guys out there. That is the dream you came up with, and you believed you deserved it, and you made it happen. And you made all this look cool behind here. Like it's a cool set, but without you to dream it and someone else to believe in you, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's why I always tell him. I was like, dude, there's no one else. Like I always tell him, and he, at this point, you can sit down. No, but yeah, like I've always said that too. Is like I really do appreciate the people that are around me, and it's like it's kind of like that mindset that you mentioned about the you're in the river, just let the river go. It knows where to go.
It knows where it's going.
Yeah, and it's just like that's kind of like the same take on that too. And I found myself in that vein also recently. You know how you mentioned about like, you know what? Now I don't want these materialistic things. I was there too. I would really like just like. Surrounding myself with people that I really admire, and I didn't know this, but I was creating like this idol over me, and I was like, man, like I have become this person that's like really happy with what I'm looking at, but not really happy within myself. Right. And so at a certain moment, I was like, especially 2023 during that year, I was like, you know what, shift change, like how you mentioned, I was like, gear change, I need to figure this out. So I removed all that stuff from my life, and I completely just let myself be in a vulnerable state. And I, like how you mentioned about speaking to yourself in the mirror, it's like I stayed in my own room long enough so I could get to know who I am.
Yeah.
And once I finally get that ability, I could go talk to other people.
Right.
And so I would normally, back then, I would normally go up to someone and be like, let's say someone that has like really, I don't know, like well-known, famous, whatever. Instead of me going like, oh my gosh, freaking out, it's like now it's just mellowed out. It's the whole perspective has changed. Now we're in the same playing field. There is respect to that.
Exactly.
There is respect to what you have or whatever, and whomever this person will be, right? But I've met people that are like in their perspective, in the audience's perspective, they're on top of the world, right? And it's just like, but give it a second, this guy also needs to go to sleep. Like it's not like this is not a person that's a machine, you know. And so when you get that mentality, you're like, wow, like now it's cool, and now it's like, okay,
now they're human,
right? And then when you humanize the situation, you're like, now you could be yourself. And there's a lot of things that I mentioned on my book, and I speak about that stuff too. It's like during the journey of becoming a music artist, and I know you are too. I'd like to jump on that too, but becoming a music artist is like, that's kind of like the perspective I have. It's just like there's so much gatekeeping, there's so much like, oh, transactional only, I don't know you, but only if you help me out, then I'll get to know who you are. It's like those are the kind of the encounterments I've met, and it's honestly one too many. Yeah, as soon as I just went back to like realizing who's who, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna gravitate to this crowd more, it became 10 times better. I felt way more like appreciated, right? And so I've spoke to Dave, and Dave has been around for like ages, like back when I was in first grade, right? And so he knows me, and he knows everything about me. So when it comes to like this like Erick Mars type of person, it's like he knows Erick. He doesn't know Erick Mars, right? But there's other people that I've met, and it's like a complete normal situation. And I've experienced some people coming up to you, right? But complete normal situation where I'm just walking and playing basketball, and someone comes up to me, and he's like, oh, hi, super cool, normal. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And then they find out what I do, and they're like, completely different person now. And I'm just like, it kind of kills that, you know? It's like an unfortunate feeling. And so I'm just there like, man, like, it ruined the entire moment. But when I'm with you, when we went to, what's it called, get lunch, I saw people that were coming up, and they were very like wholesome and open arms, right? And I just wanted to ask you, like, have you ever had an experience like that where it's just like, this person's not really genuine?
every day, man.
Really?
Well, I mean, I average like 10 times a day. Someone says, "How's the weather up there?"
Oh, okay.
Just because I'm tall. That was before I even did movies. But so it's just like, man, you could have said anything else.
Yeah.
Now that's what I have to go off of. And now you're like, they say, how tall are your parents? Do you have brothers? Are they tall? What size shoe do you wear? Do you play basketball? Like, it's just a bunch of...
It's the same script.
Every time, and I'm like, man, now what do we talk about? My name's Dan. We could have got there first. But now it's about something else. So
that's why when I first spoke to you, I didn't want to leave this like that, annual party, without showing my respect. I was like, you know what? I think it would be a classy way to just walk up and say, hey, I acknowledge you, and I'm taking off, unfortunately, because I didn't get to hear your message. But you were super open arms, and right there I was like, man, this guy's... I noticed right there and then, I was like, this guy's genuine. So I was like, I gotta get him on the cast. Here you go, right?
I'm just like this. Like, I'm like, this is my brand new people back home. I have nothing to hide or show. Like, I've already been to the bottom. I already had a mugshot. Now I'm just like, Martin Scorsese said I was magnificent. So I don't need to hear anything else from anybody else in my whole life. I don't need friends. I don't need people. I don't need anybody.
I mean, yeah.
He said that, so whatever. You want to be my friend? Cool. But if you're going to use me or try to ride coattails, I don't do that. Some people ask me to get an autograph from Kevin Costner. Like, that's not what we do.
Like a bridge.
That's not what we do. I would never ask him for an autograph. We're working together and we're on stage. I'm not gonna waste this time. So
I hear you.
There's a time and a place for that. I could email him and say, hey man, can you send me an autograph?
I mean, almost never is the time for that because it's not cool.
Right.
But yeah.
So I signed some autographs because I knew those people and they're part of the Charles and Sombrero days,
Mm.
the CEO and everything. So back to that, yeah. I mean, I'm like I said, if I look at you as the same as me, then there's no way I can be better than you.
Right. There's a formal sense of like respect, but there's no like.
Like when Danny Trejo walked on the set and everybody back against the wall. They're like, oh man, look, it's him. Look, everybody. Like, I don't care about the money or the fame or whatever. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to walk on set and people say, that's Dan Warrior. That's Dan Warrior. Like, I don't need all the extras. Like, I want the this guy's different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walk like nobody's watching and everybody watches.
Right.
And I want them to feel that too, because I want them to be able to talk to me and say, hey, how did you do this? I just stopped listening to everybody else. I looked in the mirror and my wife made me tell myself that I loved myself, which was the hardest thing I'll ever do. And I just thought, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
If he could do it, I could do it. My uncle can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So, and then I talked to Will Sampson, his street side, and I said, I'm going to start where you left off.
Yeah.
And the Native American people need a superhero. The Native people, the Mexican people, the dark people, the me colored people, or anybody.
Right.
Needs something positive to look up to right now in our world. Everything you hear is bad, terrible, and I choose not to listen to it. And I'm gonna go do a superhero movie. I don't care. I don't. That's not my reality. So when I unplug from the Matrix, I'm gonna take care of my babies, my wife, and I'm gonna guard them like the biggest lion in the cave.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro. We're this, but if you want to be something different, I see you one time, I see that little big bit of, what I'm talking about?
I hear you.
A little snake in there. You do me wrong and then act like it wasn't a thing. Then you just disappear out of my movie.
Yeah, that's exactly.
What you were talking about, living the warrior phase of your journey right now, you have to set your boundaries. You have to make your boundaries and say, I'm not doing anything other than this.
Mm.
You're not with me, you're not for me. Go where you're appreciated, not tolerated. So now it's your next step to say, do I want to get bitter or get better? Next time I come, you'll probably have like guys with boom mics and you'll have like moving cameras and like, because that's how big it can go. Mm-hmm. You'll have big SM7B microphones, the headsets, maybe you have hot wings. You never know, but
I just realized his name is Sean.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, dude, I'm glad someone came up with something like that. What I'm saying is the movie's awesome. Challenging yourself is the real thing. It doesn't matter what it is. You're shooting free throws in front of 30,000 people. Do you know how to shoot a free throw already? Because I can't take you with me to movie school or Martin Scorsese movie sets.
Right.
And just say, okay, here you go. What are you going to do if I bring you on set? Are you going to choke? Are you going to freak out because there's celebrities around you? Or are you going to do your job? So I've surpassed all the who's who of what. I'm just there to tell my story for my people and for my kids, and they can watch all my documented history and always remember me and hear my voice on National Geographic with their kids, because it'll always be in existence. It'll go from Blu-ray, DVD, that little stick to the cloud, to streaming, to
I hear you.
Now whatever's next. My movies will always exist for my people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my message about the purpose of why I do what I do. And if something good happens out of it, and someone says, "Here's enough money to pay all your bills and get a car and a house," I might do it.
I hear you. I wanted to ask you, what started your journey for like Hollywood? Like, what inspired you that initial hit?
It all started the day I touched my toes.
What do you mean? Like immediately? So you're telling me as we were watching TV, you're like, hey, can I touch my toes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Because I couldn't.
Mm.
I couldn't. The simplest thing that should be in your life to do
Mm.
in your own body, you should be able to maneuver your body and be able to touch your toes.
Mm.
But I was pushing 400 pounds, blood pressure, sciatica,
Wow.
Depression, alcoholism,
Mm.
eating, living in the basement, snowed in, no vitamin D, all that depression was just, I didn't really care about. The food just tasted good, so I'm just gonna eat it. And if I die from drinking, I was supposed to go that way. If, it was before I had my kid, and that was just my son, my child, my little tiny, La Nunquat Selat Seste is his name.
Okay.
It means he is powerful medicine.
Wow.
So, as I was to that point, I couldn't touch my toes. Damned if I was going to let my wife cut my toenails. So, I was done with that. I said, what's the... Nope, never. I want to do this for myself.
I get you.
So, I stood up and I tried, I could only to my mid-shin before my back would hurt. And then I tried, sit up in bed, and I couldn't even do that because my nerves were just like on fire all the time. I could only walk like 10 feet before my leg started to burn, and I just had to sit down. It was crazy. I was a radio DJ in New York, and I would just go from work to home, work home. And when I set that goal for myself, and I filmed the first time, and I got nowhere close to it. I was cheating, and I was like, you could see me bending my knees and trying to get. I took a whole month, and I finally got it, and something clicked. I'm like, if I could do that, what else can I do?
Yeah.
I could go to the end of the hallway, and I could pick up my son. If I could do that, I could go downstairs and shovel the snow. If I could do that, I could go to the mailbox. If I could do that, I could walk to the end of the block, and I just Forrest Gumped it from there.
Right.
If I could do that, I could act in a movie with Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. It's all like a trial and error.
How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail?
Right.
I could be a tattoo artist. What's stopping me? How do you do it? Oh, watch some tutorials. I got my own shop in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, money. I'm in the mall doing tattoos. And I was losing weight, and I was doing well, and then COVID shut my business down.
Mm.
We couldn't pay for our house. Our landlord was kind of sketchy about letting us stay, and I was like, all right, we're leaving. We're gonna do our own thing.
Yeah.
We got our camper and moved out into the slab on a generator, which was supposed to be 2 weeks, but ended up being 4 months.
Wow.
And I just found myself. I sat up by myself, no internet, just enough electricity. We had to get internet later. Anything that was distraction, no TV, no Netflix, nothing. It was
isolation.
Just me in the woods,
Yeah.
not totally, but surrounded by trees and the pond, and just waiting to see what the next thing is. So I chose to not watch my phone. I chose to read books. I read 27 books during that whole time. I would make our food outside, and I started eating better, started grilling our vegetables and chicken and making salads. Started learning how to do plumbing, electric, because our house was broken. I just learned how to use my hands to improve my situation. And when you have time to think like that, I went to my wife and I said, our house had fallen apart. We had like a tarp over it. I was doing tattoos outside. I was running out of supplies. My babies didn't have diapers or formula. Didn't have hot water. We had to heat up in the kettle. No heater. We had to use a space heater and all sleep in one bed. When you get to that point, people that are well pray for a million things.
Yeah.
Sick people pray for one. And that's just to be well.
Yeah.
Me, I'm sitting, how am I going to feed my kids? And I just did the thing, one step at a time. And while it was the snow, like the generator stopped in the middle of the night. We had to fill it up every 6 hours for 4 months. Imagine doing that. All of us smelled like gas. I had to get gas to be able to keep our house on. Otherwise we freeze. It's New York, -10. minus 20 sometimes. So I just started trying to do a push-up.
Okay.
I started doing the hard stuff. I started
Yeah.
picking up the trash on the floor. I started being nice to my kids when I didn't want to be. I started being nice to my wife when I didn't want to be. I started eating the Brussels sprouts and not the cupcakes. I started picking up rocks and holding them for hours at a time, as long as I could hold them, while I was thinking of my next thing. It was going to be, I saw red carpets, and I was like, I told my wife, in the middle of all this, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah.
And you know what she said? Instead of saying, to hell with that, we got to get money to feed our kids, she said, okay. And when she said okay, all my doors flew open. And I was like, she said okay, I can be an actor. And I said, why not? Because my uncle, well, he's related to me on my Creek side, but Will Sampson. I was like, he's a giant native. What did he have to do to get there? And I said, you got to be in shape. You got to be, your hair's got to look good. Your skin's got to look good. You got to know what you look like in the mirror. And you got to dress a certain way. And like all the stuff that I studied. And I was like, Mr. T had a ton of necklaces, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like the native Mr. T.
Yeah.
And I wanted to look buff like Fabio, and I wanted to have long hair, and I wanted to do all the stuff. So you have to do the stuff. You have to start eating vegetables and start going to bed on time. You got to take care of your family in a way that they'll be fine without you for a little bit. So you go on auditions. And I just started doing the hard stuff. And everybody's afraid to do that because they don't see the quick reward. And I started 5 years before I got into my first, or 4 years before I got into my first movie, because I knew if I could touch my toes and I could run, I could do all this stuff. And I started lifting weights at the RV parks, running with my son, taking him to the beach, whatever I could do, because I'm gonna be in a Marvel movie. I'm gonna be in a DC movie. I'm gonna be this guy asked me to play this Native American superhero named Bison.
Yeah.
Bison. When you see Bison, I walk around my house like, my name is Bison.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, okay, Bison, go do the dishes. But she's been there through the whole thing, ups and downs. But that's the support system that people have to have.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but in the beginning you do, and then you work to where you don't really need people to tell you if you're gonna do okay at it, because you know what you're doing. I've memorized the whole book of Shakespeare. I've done like full monologues for things I would never attempt at trying, just to see how the memorization process goes, and then how do you recreate that, film yourself over and over and over.
Yeah.
Throw those away, finally keep one and send it in to your agent. I got an agent, I got a manager.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This lady contacted me, well, from Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
One of the guys in the show, he's like, you should talk to my agent.
Mm.
She specializes in Native American actors. So I called her, and she's like, send me some pictures. And since then, if she gets a movie part for Native, she sends it to me in an email. And then I just audition and send it back. It's been like, I think I've auditioned for like 52 things.
That's awesome.
That I didn't get.
Yeah, well, it's all about trial and error, right?
Yeah, but the trial sucks.
It's part of the process.
Because you don't hear anything back.
Mm-hmm.
You just do it and you send it out. I sent one in for General Hospital, and I haven't heard anything back.
Right.
So it's like, you just.
That's where it makes you fall in love with the process, though.
Right.
Because I make music,
it's
right?
like fishing.
And so when
it's
I'm
like
making music,
you accidentally do something right, and wow, it was a happy accident.
Exactly.
You keep it, and then you're like, well, now I know how to do it now, and so that's the whole craft of it. So people that want to be actors, to be famous, forget about it. Don't get up. Don't even try to be in movies. If you're trying to get famous, don't do that.
Yeah, just love the craft.
If you want to look someone in the eye and really make them cry by the way you talk to them, that's acting. And it's Shakespeare. It's not you. It's the mask of the character. It's not your ego. It's not you. It's how do they feel about it after they watched you cry in front of all of your people. Yeah. Did it push them to say, oh, he cried in a mean way, where now he looks like he's been revenge or has vengeance in his heart, or to be
Mm-hmm.
crying a sad way where he lost everything.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So, aspiring people, do the right process and go to, like here in Texas, it's legacycasting.com. Become an extra. They're looking for people. There's an etiquette on set. You don't go start talking to people, taking pictures of everyone. You just show up to be a person in the background. If the director likes you, he puts you up in front of other people to play more in-depth scenes. And if they don't, you'll just be in the background and then try the next one.
Right.
They'll always look for someone different the next time.
Yeah.
There's always a need for age, sizes, shapes, tattoos, shaved heads, long hair. There's always something. They don't want everyone to look the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, have your priorities right. If you want to do one thing for a year, you'll be successful.
Mm-hmm.
People that try to have a million different things, and you can't. And if you want to be an actor, you can't have a real job, 9 to 5, punch a clock. You have to have a side hustle or side gig that you're good at. I'm a tattoo artist. I'm a graphic designer. I paint.
Yeah.
So I do other things, and I'm a DJ. So that's Efren Ramirez. He's a DJ as well. And then we do Comic-Con, sign autographs. But it's constant, like standing up for 3 days, taking pictures with people is probably the most exhausting
Yeah,
thing.
physical and mentally also.
Spiritually, you're giving
hear you.
energy away.
Yeah, that's true.
Danny Trejo could barely stand when he saw me in that picture. He just recognized me and he's like, hey, how you doing, man? How are you? And I was like, good. And his bodyguard was like, hey, he's leaving. He can't talk. He's not feeling good. I'm like, he stopped me, man.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we can take a picture. He took a picture. And he said he was proud of me.
Mm.
Because 2 years ago, he told me, like, don't give up. I said, I want to do this. He's like, just, you can't give up. He gave me my shot, put me in his movie, which will be out in August.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up in a little bit. Let's just end this part. But I do appreciate you coming by, man. I know a lot of people that's been wanting to see you on this podcast, and it's super cool. It's awesome that you took the time to do it, and also just meeting me before this. But anyway, so you can see him on Apple TV, Paramount Plus, literally everywhere. You can even hear his radio show, and I mean, I don't know.
The National Geographic. It's called What Really Happened, America's Wild West. And you can look it up on YouTube right now.
That's awesome. And there's also a lot of like upcoming things that haven't came out yet, and the trailers are going to be dropping soon. So be sure to enjoy them and watch them all.
I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I haven't got professional pages yet, so as soon as I get that, I won't be adding a lot of people. But,
No worries.
But right now, if you message me and you really want to say something, like I get a lot of friend requests, but if someone writes me, I usually respond. Like, everybody needs to realize the humanity in it, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they just say, hey man, how do you do this, or can I get into this, whatever. If I can help and someone helped me, I stood on the shoulders of giants to get to where I am. So I have advice and I have a wealth of knowledge about on-set etiquette and everything, and
That's awesome.
how to get started. I'm also a motivational speaker, so if you guys want me to come to your business or school or graduation or just online, I can do that too.
That's awesome. You heard him here first. Anyway, I do appreciate you and also all the content.
Yeah, man.
That's
I
awesome.
appreciate
God
it.
bless, man.
This show's awesome.
See y'all later. Have a good one. Daniel, you're awesome.
Appreciate it, guys.